His death ought to be a celebration of his life, his accomplishments, his aspirations, and what he as a young dynamic president stood for in the history of this country. And I think that the trashing of the Warren Commission report and the prevalence of conspiracy theories that have no basis in fact serve to demean the memory of the president. President Johnson created the Warren Commission on November 29, 1963, 1 week after President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. And the reason that he created a commission was that there was no federal law in existence at the time that made the murder of the President of the United States a crime.
How is it that you in particular were selected to serve on this commission?
I was 32 years old at the time, and I was a member of the criminal division in the Department of Justice.
How did you go about conducting research for the book?
By chance, I maintained a personal journal for my work on the Warren Commission. I never kept a diary or journal before I served on the commission staff. I've never kept one since. I will call it my historic journal, since Lee Harvey Oswald called his diary a historic diary. My journal is not a piece of art. It contains short summaries of issues or personalities, disputes on an irregular basis, and that was dictated to my secretary from the criminal division who was helping me at the Warren Commission.
Do you think it would be fair to describe the book as a defense of the Warren Commission?
I think that it is a documented report on what we did. I rely heavily not only on my journal but also on my chronological files, which include all the material that was sent from Lee Rankin's office, and I did supplement them by some recent visits to the National Archives.
Going through those files gives you great perspective. What kind of exclusive insights into the proceedings of the Commission will readers of history will prove us right discover?
One important insight, I believe, will display in graphic detail and a good deal of emotion exactly how Chief Justice Warren conducted his responsibilities. His commitment to this effort was truly extraordinary. If there's a hero of the Commission's work, it was the Chief Justice.
The Commission likely wasn't working alone in their investigation. Did you receive cooperation from organizations like the FBI, the CIA, the Secret Service?
The Commission did collaborate extensively with investigative agencies from the federal government, in particular, the FBI, CIA, and Secret Service, as well as the State Department. It's important to remember, however, that the Commission did not rely on those investigative agencies for the facts on which the Commission based its decisions and its report. The Commission conducted its own investigation using the agencies as aids, but essentially based its report on evidence from 552 witnesses. The Commission members took sworn testimony from 94 witnesses. The lawyers took depositions from 395 witnesses, and there were 60 plus affidavits for a total of 552 witnesses. So it's the sworn testimony on which the Commission based its conclusions. We did have difficulties with each of the agencies, the FBI and the Secret Service and the CIA, and some of those difficulties undoubtedly influenced our investigation.
Was there any pressure from anyone on the Commission to conclude that there was no conspiracy at work behind the president's assassination?
Contrary to reports from some preeminent historians, there were no influential forces bearing on the Commission to come out one way or the other, and that certainly was not the case from the White House or the Justice Department. What people tend to forget is that the members of the Commission were 7 extremely eminent men, 4 from the Congress, 2 from the Senate, 2 from the House of Representatives, and 2 independent members, Allen Dulles and John McCloy, both of whom I learned recently were suggested to President Johnson by Robert Kennedy, the brother of the deceased president. These men were not going to risk their decades of reputation in public service by bending the facts in any way whatsoever. And what people forget about the staff is that, with the sole exception, me, Every lawyer on that staff came from the private sector. Every one of them was disciplined, competent, and determined to ferret out a conspiracy if it existed. There were some who said, you know, if we discovered a conspiracy, it will enhance our political careers. There are others who said if there's a conspiracy, we have to find it. And I'm not going to let any report go out with my signature on it that doesn't reflect the full investigation and reflect fairly the conclusions of that investigation. As for myself, I'm at the commission staff as a representative of the Department of Justice and the Attorney General, to whom I reported on occasion. And there's no question in my mind that the Department and the Attorney General wanted a full and fair investigation of the facts. So I thoroughly resent and resist any implications from historians, no matter how preeminent, or commentators of whatever ilk, suggesting to the contrary.
Despite the absence of any credible evidence to support an alternate theory, do you have an opinion as to why it's been so difficult to sustain the findings of the Warren Commission?
People are generally reluctant, it appears, to accept individual action when it results in the killing of a public figure like the president. And what interests me most is that in recent decades, we have seen so many examples of individuals engaged in the wanton killings of innocent students, children, fellow military personnel, theater goers in Colorado, and we do not anticipate that in those cases there must have been a conspiracy. We're uncomfortable with the idea that there are individuals out there that are so maladjusted, so susceptible to schizophrenia, so vulnerable in so many ways that they, for a variety of reasons, want to act out and demonstrate the power that can be extruded from a powerful weapon. And I wonder why, given the experience we have had in recent decades, people don't understand that Oswald may fall right into that category of an individual who, without any strong support from any individual or group, felt that this was the way he could make his mark on history, and the opportunity suddenly appeared on his doorstep and he took advantage of it alone.
Which findings have best served the test of time?
I think that the fundamental conclusions of the commission have been proven correct. The two most important conclusions are these. Lee Harvey Oswald was the sole assassin of President Kennedy, and he fired probably 3 shots from his window on the 6th floor of the depository, using the rifle that he left behind, on which his prints can be found, and that 2 of his shots did create the wounds suffered by the president and Governor Connolly. There was no second shooter anywhere in the premises. No second shooter was ever seen. No second rifle was ever found. No 4th cartridge was ever found anywhere on the grassy knoll or the overpass. And no bullet was ever fired that hit the vehicle or anyone in it, other than the 2 that Oswald fired. The second major conclusion that the commission reached, that I think has been substantiated now with the passage of 49 plus years, is that there was then no credible evidence of a conspiracy. The absence of a trial, I think, contributed mightily to the growth of the doubt about the commission's report and the theories that emerged with alternative explanations of what actually happened.
Do you have an opinion as to why the public today continues to be so fascinated by conspiracy theories, decades after the assassination?
In the absence of a clear motive from Oswald, people think that they are inclined to look for a conspiracy that would provide a motive. And they're unwilling to accept the idea that this is just another example of an isolated, ineffectual human being who, for one political or personal reason, wanted to exercise power and create an impact on the world. So I have no explanation. I don't know. We have a mental health problem in the United States.
Has history proven the commission right?
One could say today not only that history will prove us right, but that history has proved us right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your time. Thank you.